What is the best video game you have played? Before we start with the first story, please hit subscribe and ring the notification bell to stay updated with us. Story 1. This might be weird, but I still think Super Mario World is one of the greatest games of all time. People accustomed to the NES had never really seen a generation leap before, and it was amazing how advanced it seemed at the time. But even though nowadays it is actually quite primitive, it is still really fun. The levels, the controls, the music, it all just works, and it holds up even today. Like most Mario games, you can really tell that Nintendo put in the extra time to polish it and make it something people would actually want to play. Super Mario World was blatantly written as a tech demo of the SNES, but somehow Nintendo managed to make even that a good thing. Most NES games just got harder and harder until you gave up. Just making a game you could actually finish was actually pretty unusual back then. Story 2. Minecraft. Endless creativity and possibilities in one game. Picked this up about 6 months ago to play with my son. Creative mode has been a fun way for us to build stuff, and then he destroys it with TNT. I gave survival mode a shot for the first time ever this week and can't believe how much fun I'm having. Exploring. Getting lost. Building random bases to survive mobs. I think for the first time I get the hype. Story 3. Final Fantasy VII. This game changed my life. Which is weird to say because it's a game. I know. But I was in high school when this came out. Went to a midnight release. A midnight release. My brother drove, he bought it, and I had no idea what the hype was all about. He put the disc in, the opening scene started, and it was like a drug, I was hooked. We played till sunrise. I had a part-time job and I would get home around midnight, scarf some pizza and grind for hours. The materia system, getting summons, and don't get me started on chocobo races. We'd hang out and play this game constantly and still laugh about it to this day. My daughter's 13 now and sometimes we'll stay up too late playing a game together, and I remember how those late nights changed my relationship with my brother so much. Something awesome happens when it's just two people hanging out late, laughing and enjoying a good story together while the world is asleep. Story 4. Witcher 3. Even without the insanely good DLC, it is a masterpiece. The only minor flaw is that many of the monster contracts are similar. The Bloody Baron alone elevates this game above 99% of games. I honestly can't think of another video game character that was written and performed better. Plenty of characters spring to mind as contenders, the Nameless One, John Irenicus, Mr. House, Kim Kitsuragi to name a few, but Bloody Baron tops them all. IMO. I've never felt more empathy for a video game character before or since. Story 5. Outer Wilds. Unfortunately, it's not for everyone. If you wish you enjoyed it more, then something you could try is to take your time to think about the questions you have about the setting and plot, theories you have of answers and where to find those answers, and how you'll test those theories. Science is baked into the story and the gameplay. I think people have a worse time when they think of puzzles as just impediments to unlock more video game. No, they are the video game. Earn and appreciate your mastery of this world. Also, make sure to explore a little bit everywhere instead of zooming in too far into one section and bashing your head against a wall when there is a relevant hint that it's really fun to discover 2 planets over. And final tip, use all of the tools given to you, including the ship's log. For a good refresher, explore the starting village again. It's loaded with little tutorials and will get you more emotionally invested in all the quirky little villagers who are getting, spoilers redacted. Story 6. Warcraft 3. Why I'm so pissed off at Reforged. You can't even play the pre-reforged version without the original discs or unethical means. Even if you do get the original game, Battle.net is so borked with it because of their TOS that custom games were killed off. Just to be clear for the youngins, Warcraft 3 is the reason you have MOBA like Dota and the popularization of tower defense games, and I'm sure there are others. The map editor that game came with was a powerful game creating tool. Story 7. Hard to pick a single best game, but I could certainly pick a best of each genre of game. For a pick-up-and-play shooter, Halo. It'll always be replayable to me. It'll never grow out of pretending to be the MC. For something relaxing and creative, Space Engineers. It's like Minecraft, but in space. Cool physics too. For an RPG, Diablo 2 Remastered for sure. Always something to grind for, or a tougher boss to fight. Open world/survival, Fallout. The world they have built for those games is awesome, hilarious, and disturbing all at once. Story 8. The best overall? That's so tough because there's so many to choose from per genre/time in my life that it feels bad to pick just one. I guess if I had to pick one that had the greatest positive impact on my life outside the game as well and just all around, I'd say EverQuest back in 1999. Very dated game by today's standards and I couldn't play it today however, but back then it was absolutely groundbreaking and set the path for WoW and so many other games. The amount of joy and sheer number of good friends, many I still talk and game with today in other games, I made playing that game when it came out was amazing. Even met up with several of them at a fanfare IRL. The Diablo series would be a close second. If I had to break it down by genre I could, but that's a lot to type out. Story 9. Elden Ring for me. I've loved the Souls games since I played DS1 in 2011, and I love the high fantasy genre as a whole since a kid seeing Lord of the Rings in theaters. Elden Ring just fully captures an indescribable feeling on the first playthrough of curiosity and wonder in exploration of a high fantasy world, and is the culmination of my fave game series of all time. Sometimes I wonder if I will ever in my life play a better game than the experience I got on the first playthrough of that game. Story 10. This is a very much subjective, personal take, but Arkham Asylum for me. Love Batman. I think the last game I played before Asylum was Batman the movie in the Commodore 64. I had generally fallen out of love a bit with gaming due to limited time with young kids, work etc. Asylum looked and felt so good, wonderfully satisfying fight and stealth mechanics, excellent take on the Joker, got to see a whole host of villains. I would live there to be another installment which mixes things up a bit, with a bit less bat tank action. A decent Batplane theme would be sweet, but still the same feel as the previous games. Wouldn't even mind a return to a single, but huge location, setting again. I think that would be the last little nudge I need to finally buy a PS5. Story 11. Cyberpunk 2077. Genuinely the best story game I have ever played. The main story and the side quests are all extremely well written and of equal excellent quality, and are all a bunch of emotional roller coasters. Best sound design in any game I've played. Extremely detailed world and lore, as it is part of a much older franchise. There are so many features and details, that it's almost insane. All in all, like other CDPR games, you can truly sense the love for the game and world and the hard work that's been put into it. You know when a game genuinely feels like a piece of art. Because of its launch, it has a terrible reputation with few people actually realizing that all these bugs were fixed a couple of years ago in the 2.0 update. Since then a massive DLC, basically adding a whole new part of the main story, doubling its length and adding a whole new area to the city, and a bunch more, has been added, plus a lot of other features. It has literally undergone several major updates. All the things that used to be the reason people didn't buy it has been fixed and compensated for comfortably. You can even use that cool monorail tram now. October 10th. If it weren't for the unfortunate launch, this game would have been remembered as revolutionary. Story 12. Warframe. When it comes to look and especially gameplay, the motion, warframes and weapons all feel awesome. Elden Ring. It's just good in design and gameplay is fun as well. It will f*** you though. Doom Eternal, same as Elden Ring, but you will f*** them. It's still not an easy game though. X4 Foundations, it has a cool universe story-wise and is looking beautiful. Also flying and fighting feels and looks pretty good. BioShock series, All three BioShock games have awesome stories with many emotions. Those are for me the most outstanding ones, but I have played many great and bad games. So it's kinda hard to not just write a thick-ass list, haha. Story 13. Definitely the Half-Life series. Been with me since childhood, and the Source engine will always hold a special place in my heart. I also like to mess around in the Hammer editor. Garry's Mod, I remember the first time I found out about it. The idea I could get creative with all my favorite Source models, characters, NPCs. Just amazing. Plus the endless community workshop maps and items. But yeah, Half-Life 2 takes the cake. In recent years, I loved Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. The idea of improving your skill in difficult combat without having to grind for gear or attributes is something I love. Great atmosphere, tough journey, but so worth it. Minecraft, not a joke, been with it since beta, and man, once me and my friend found out about the mod packs like Tekkit, my goodness, those were the days. My last great memory is playing the newer mod packs like Mac Eternal or Sevtech Ages. Vanilla Minecraft in today's form, I don't find appealing at all. Doom, always the special memory, going through the levels with IDDQD and IDKFA, hahaha, and I remember being amazed by the level's diversity and clever designs. I'm glad we have games such as Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal now. Crysis, so ahead of its time, I boot it up every now and then, and I still consider the graphics to be amazing. My favorite playstyle was being up close and personal, throwing the soldiers into the huts and watching them collapse upon them. COD Modern Warfare series, 2007 to 2011, for the campaign story only. Terraria, a good 2D alternative to Minecraft, at least that's what we called it. I think there was so much to explore, create and slay in this blocky world. I never got to finish it and fight the Moon Lord and stuff, but I enjoyed most content properly. Batman, Arkham series, made me love Batman for this badass series with a great story and new form of combat. Let's throw Middle-earth, Shadow of War in here too, for it's by the same developers. World of Warcraft, never grinded it too much, never even got to experience a proper raid, never liked PvP, I just enjoyed getting to max level with my friend, and finding out about the world. The furthest I've gotten was with TLK heroic gear from the endgame dungeons. I liked meeting all the NPCs and exploring the world. Some people were so nice too. Oh, the endless replayability of Skyrim, no need for more words. Yeah, that's what I can think off the top of my head. Story 14. I'm just gonna tell you my first VP game Christmas present of the 360 that I forced my husband to buy me 2 months early with my money, so it wasn't a big deal. I also bought a cup of games, one of them was Oblivion. Literally ruined me for any other game at all. I was a peevish man when Skyrim came out because I didn't like some of the gameplay, but hey, I adapted, yeah, the whole Morrowinds thing top to bottom. And Viva Pinata. LOL. And yes, I'm going to say it, X-Men Generations, the fighting game that was on the GameCube, loved it. Get back, leave me alone bro, it's great. You ain't game player and you ain't a Marvel junkie, specifically X-Men junkie, if you don't like making Jean Grey pick up a vase with her head and Selena across at Sabretooth. Fantastic game, it's great, don't argue, seriously don't argue. Yeah, I'm kind of a dark empath kind of thing now, and I want to get in there and rock you with my X powers, LOL. Story 15. There are so many great games to pick one. If I think about how they made me feel at the time, then Borderlands 2, Deus Ex, Skyrim, Drive Club, Race Driver Grid, Street Fighter Third Strike, Tomb Raider, Doom, Tony Hawk, FF7, The Adventures of Link, Alien vs Predator, Jaguar, and GTA 3 all blew me away when I first played them. Street Fighter 2 was the game that stands out because we'd queue for hours just to watch people play it in the arcade. It was a phenomenon. If I was told I could only ever play one game again, it would be a hard choice between Borderlands 2 or Skyrim. I don't play games these days, but I'm sure I'll revisit one of those games at some point. If we're talking about my actual enjoyment of a game, which isn't necessarily a rational reflection of how objectively good a game is, that would be Pokémon Platinum. If we're talking about the objective intrinsic quality of a video game, I'd have to give it to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, the two of them kinda go together. This pair is a lesson of game design. Now, ask me that question again in 5 years and hopefully by then my answer to both will be Star Citizen. Alright folks, that's a wrap. If you like this, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can also share your those in the comment below.